Welcome to Beyond the Mats and Mirrors, the podcast for martial arts and dance studio owners who want to grow and make an impact. Each week, we sit down with industry leaders to share their stories, strategies, and game-changing tips you can put into action today. Now, let's jump into the episode.
Welcome to the Beyond the Mats and Mirrors podcast. I'm Lauren, and I have Stephen Reinstein here today, and we are actually going to be tackling one of the biggest buzzwords within the industry, and that's going to be AI, and how AI is impacting your marketing, your website, and how you should be looking at 2026. So let's jump in. So Stephen, from your perspective, what has been the biggest shift AI has created in studio marketing over the past year, specifically for martial arts and dance specifically?
Yeah, this is a pretty loaded question just because AI has kind of affected all sorts of operations, everything from your website to the way that you produce content, coming up with blog posts and so many things. So there's really a lot to kind of cover underneath this. But, us at Market Muscles really being a website company as well as a CRM company, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the website side of things. But the number one thing that I'm seeing that's kind of most interesting for our clients is more and more people are using ChatGPT as well as Gemini and some of the other search engines as places that they're looking for local businesses, right? So when we look at our clients' websites, I can see exactly where people are coming from before they land on it. And more people are coming from ChatGPT. So how do you optimize your website for those platforms? So that way you're coming up above your competitors. That's been a huge shift when it comes to, the thinking of how to approach your website.
No, that's a good point because I feel like everyone is always focused on SEO, and Google is still kind of the reigning champion when it comes to search engines, but I feel like ChatGPT is becoming this close second. Before you had your Yahoos, your Bings, and they seemed like such minor players, and now with Chat, I think there is so much more relevance and looking at so many different things. So I like that you really have kind of brought that into the field because I think people kind of jump to one, but I think you do need to kind of diversify as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like this has been the most kind of pivotal time over the last 10 years when it comes to the internet because of the way that AI has really, just really changed things.
Yeah.
Right. And I know like every year we would do this in the beginning of the year, just go over like, okay, what does marketing look like for 2022, 2023, 2024? And it was always usually like the same things, right? Just make sure you post on your blog, you have a well-optimized website, and, all of those things are still important, but now you have the AI piece here. And it kind of reminds me of like when the internet first came out. Like it changed so much for so many people, and AI is doing the same thing. So it's a crazy time right now for the internet, for sure.
Absolutely. So how do you feel that AI is changing the way families search for programs like martial arts or dance?
Yeah, it's interesting because, I find myself doing this as well. But when you search on Google, typically you have to go through the process of sorting through the results yourself.
Sure.
Right. So if you go and you search for martial arts near me, you're going to get multiple different results. You're going to have the map pack at the top. You're going to have the organic listings underneath. And then it's up to you to kind of read through the reviews, click on their websites, do that sort of research for you. Where if you're using a platform like ChatGPT, it tends to do that stuff for you. So you don't have to actually go through manually and do that work. So it's becoming a lot more convenient for someone to go to ChatGPT and just say, hey, recommend me a martial arts school near me. And it's going to provide them a couple of results, but explain to them exactly why this is ranked number 1, number 2, number 3. So it's just so much easier for people. So that's why we're seeing more and more people using those platforms to search versus Google. Now, there's still more people using Google than ChatGPT, but it's just slowly becoming more popular, the ChatGPT and those types of platforms.
Well, I think you bring up a good point too, because if you think of who is the major market for when it comes to martial arts and dance, a lot of people who are looking are parents.
Yeah.
And right now, parents never have enough time. And so I feel like platforms like ChatGPT and AI are allowing for these individuals to really have to cut out the fluff of a lot of the research that Google provides you the options, but you have to do the research, where ChatGPT kind of cuts that down a little bit. So I think looking at, families want to spend more time, either investing in their kids or being able to get time back. So I think that's a really interesting and thing to consider for people who are kind of looking at, okay, if I'm going to put myself in the shoes of the consumer, what's going to be my best bang for my buck in terms of time?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's super important to think about, right? As a small business owner, a lot of martial arts studio owners are sometimes one-man shows or one-woman shows. So they need to think about, okay, if I'm going to invest some time into their marketing or making adjustments, what should be the thing that they focus on, right? And typically these shiny new objects will pop up, and it's like, do I actually want to spend time on that? But I think with AI, it's very evident that it is worth spending time on, especially when we see the data and we see how many people are starting to use it and actually land on our clients' websites, opt in, become members. It's something to pay attention to for sure.
Absolutely. Now, where do you see the biggest opportunities for studios to adapt to their online presence?
Yeah, so I think number one really is their website. So I'd like to kind of walk through some website optimization tips to make sure that you're ranking high when it comes to these AI search engines. Now, the thing with this is because it's so new, this is kind of a moving target, right?
Yeah.
So we're recording this episode today, but maybe a year from now, things have changed a little bit, right? So, we're in real time with our clients kind of figuring out, okay, how do we make sure that people are ranking well? Like, what are the things that are going to really move the needle? And the good news is a lot of the kind of base things that we focused on for SEO also apply to AI. So things like having a website that loads fast, making sure it's mobile friendly, posting often on your blog. And then you've got your Google business profile, making sure that's optimized so it's fully filled out. You have a lot of 5-star reviews. You're constantly making updates to it, so making updated posts and things like that, adding new photos. All of these things are important, not just for your SEO, but also your AEO. So those things should be focused on first, because you kind of have these like two sections that you're hitting, and so those are really important things. Now, there's other things you can do to your website that are more focused specifically on AI that we found these AI search engines tend to like. So first thing is having an FAQ section on your program pages. That's really important, because typically when people are searching on these AI search engines, they're asking questions, right? Is martial arts going to make my child a bully? Or is martial arts going to help my child gain confidence? Right. And you want your website to be the thing that answers that question, right? Because these search engines, they're going out to the internet and they're finding answers based off of what people are searching for. So if you can be that resource, then you're going to get recommended more, right? So my homework for everyone that's listening is to think of, 10 or 15 common questions that they hear from their prospects about, not details specifically about their school, but more about martial arts specifically or dance, and answer those on their website, right? So that could be in an FAQ section. Those can be individual blog posts. But those are the types of things that these AI search engines are really looking for. They're trying to find those authorities in your community, which should be you, and make sure that you're answering those questions, so that way they kind of lean on you for those answers.
No, that's great feedback, and thank you for sharing a lot of those. I do want to point out something that you mentioned, AEO. What does that stand for? Just for those who are listening and who maybe have never heard that term, and please share a little bit more.
Yeah, so we've got SEO and AEO, right? And that's the terminology that we use to kind of differentiate our search engine optimization, which is SEO. And then for AEO, we have answer engine optimization, right? And you might hear some other, wording for that, but that's the one that we like to use. But essentially, it's the AI search engines that are out there. And when it comes to the O part of it, it's the optimization, right? So making sure that we're optimizing everything from, again, website, Google business profile, all these different sources that these AI search engines are looking at to ensure that, you're ranking high.
Absolutely. So, what mistakes do you see studios making with SEO and AEO right now? And what should they really be doing differently to stay more visible?
Yeah. So number one mistake that I see is consistent blog posting.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. And I know for a lot of studio owners, they kind of look at this like a low hanging fruit thing that's
Yeah.
like, hey, maybe it's not really that important. Or maybe it's like, oh, what do I actually post on my blog? Do people actually read it? Are
Yeah.
people actually interested in it? But the answer is yes, people are interested in it. But really, what you're doing is you're sending signals out there to the search engines, to the AI engines saying,
Yeah.
hey, we produce fresh content. We produce content that people are going to want to read. This content has answers to people's questions.
Yeah.
And that's the really important piece, right? So that way you are recommended high. So that's typically the thing that I see most studio owners kind of skip past because it seems like a little bit mundane and, maybe not something that's super important.
Yeah.
But the studios that we work with that blog consistently also consistently rank super high.
Yeah.
And for those studios that rank organically super high on both SEO and AEO, they end up spending less on their pay-per-click marketing because they're getting so much traffic from ranking high. So it's one of those strategies that takes a little bit of time to actually kick in. But once it does, it pays off big time.
Absolutely. And I think with blogging too, you're kind of killing multiple birds with one stone. It's like there's so many benefits to doing it. It's yes, there's taking the time to spend it, but I think just some of these tips that you've shared and now that we know how much those can impact things like those single with how with AI, the answer is being more of like the FAQs, question and answer type of video. I think leaning into those more with a blog can just be so much more beneficial. So the blogs now, I feel like, has even leveled up more as that secret value add that so many people are overlooking.
Yeah, yeah. And it's one of the reasons why we offer that to our clients in one of the services that we offer because we know how important it is.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's definitely one of those things that all studio owners should be focusing on.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are not blogging, this is your encouragement to blog and take that plunge, especially as we're going into the new year. You're making those New Year's resolutions. Definitely consider adding this to be something on the list. Now, Stephen, in terms of kind of looking at people's websites as we're moving into the new year, how have AI and AEO changed what a high-performing website actually means for local studios?
Yeah, I think, again, a lot of the foundational items are still there, right? So having a fast loading website, it's mobile friendly, it features photos of your studio specifically, not having stock photos.
Yeah.
All these things are really important, especially because now with AI, you can create images, right? And, the whole thing is you want to be as transparent and organic with your website as possible.
Absolutely.
And, so again, you need to have a great website that's going to convert people. You need to have a strong call to action. All of these things are important, but it really comes down to the way that you are now formatting the content on your site. Because these AI search engines tend to like shorter blocks of content that, again, are answering people's specific questions. Because, again, if we go back to what we just talked about a couple minutes ago, most people that are using these AI search engines, they want to get their answers quick.
Exactly.
Right. So if you have a whole blurb of a ton of information, it's not going to bring back the type of, return that they're looking for. So it's okay for your page to be kind of long. You just want to make sure that you're breaking it into chunks.
Intentional.
Yep. Yeah. And labeling each one appropriately. So that way those engines kind of know what you're addressing in each one of those paragraphs. Yep. So like we said, FAQs on every page, if possible. Looking at just breaking up that content into very specific blocks. Having a page summary at the top of every page is also important. That's something that the AI search engines tend to really like. So those are some of the key things that we see moving the needle.
No, so for something like a page summary, is that something that's a couple sentences? Is it more of like a paragraph, or how do you really capitalize on that piece?
Yeah, it's usually a couple sentences, and even bullet points is fine as well. One thing that anyone can do is to go into ChatGPT. If you don't have a license with them, I do recommend it. It's, I think, $20 a month or so, and totally worth it. But you can actually take the content that's on your page currently, paste it into ChatGPT and say, hey, can you please AEO optimize this content? And it'll usually spit it back to you in the format that it likes. right? And this is ChatGPT doing the formatting for you. So it's going to do it in a way that it prefers, which is helpful as well. But leaning on those AI engines to help kind of format the content is something that works really well. And same thing with your blog posts, right?
Yeah.
So for a lot of the listeners that don't have the time to write blog posts, but they have really great ideas, it's okay to put into ChatGPT bullet points of a specific blog topic you want to cover, and then have ChatGPT actually do the writing for you, and then tell it to optimize it for AEO, and it'll format it appropriately, and then you can post it on your blog.
Yeah, no, I think ChatGPT I think the whole point of a lot of the AI is to cut out the time or cut down the time, excuse me, to really maximize on the time that you have. And so I think just as parents and families who are so busy, same with, small business owners, we know they wear so many hats. So using these tools to cut back on time and be able to give them more time back, I think is so huge. And as you said, it's one of those tools that can really aid in that.
Yeah. And I know there's some talks about, does content that's produced by ChatGPT or Gemini not rank as well as organically created content? I personally haven't seen any indication of that. The key things are, how good is the content? Because that's what Google and that's what the AI search engines really care about. Are people going to find value in it? Right. So in terms of you getting good quality content out of ChatGPT, it has a lot to do with what you're inputting into ChatGPT.
Okay.
So you can't just say, hey, write me a blog about kids martial arts and expect that it's going to produce
gold.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So anytime that I'm using ChatGPT to produce content, I give it very specific bullet points of things that I want it to cover. Right. So all the ideas are mine. I'm not really relying on ChatGPT to come up with the answers. I'm kind of just providing it in a shorter format, and I let it do all the finessing of the wording and stuff like that. So
No, and I think that's really smart because I feel like a lot of people have these good ideas buzzing. It's just, why find that time?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
No, that's huge. Now I know we've been talking a lot about content wise, so I kind of want to switch gears and kind of talking about like branding and kind of brand clarity with everything. So with AI influencing search results and user journeys, how important is brand clarity and clear messaging now more than ever?
Yeah, super, super important. And it's not just websites. It has everything to do with your social media platforms, your Google business profile, making sure that everything is kind of in sync with each other, right? Because these AI search engines aren't just relying on your website to figure out whether or not you should be a recommended source on their platform. They're also looking at every piece that you have out on the internet, right? So it's looking at your Google business profile. It's looking at, how many reviews you have there. It's probably looking at your Yelp profile, your Facebook, your Instagram, all of these different pieces. And it wants to know, okay, is this a business that is active? Are they posting? Do they have good branding? Do they have, a culture that people are following and want to engage with? These are all super important. So as much as we think that maybe AI either isn't capable of looking at those sorts of things or they don't care about it, it is super important as well. So yeah, those social profiles and everything, it's all part of like an ecosystem that should be considered.
Great analogy.
Yeah.
Now, are there things like, are studios unintentionally overcomplicating their websites in the process when it comes to that clarity, trying to hit the mark on SEO, AEO, and all of those things alike?
Yeah, I think there's like two groups of studio owners. There's the ones that still have their website from like 1998 and haven't done anything with it in a while.
.com boom.
Yep. And then there's the ones that are trying kind of everything.
Yeah.
Right? And with it being such a new topic, it's like you can read 1,000 articles and each one of them is going to have a different idea on what works. And, you could spend so much time trying to do little tweaks and figure out everything. So it's the reason why I go back to the basics so often, because it really is those things that are like tried and true. But then there are some new things that I had mentioned, that are helpful as well. That being said, for the ones that have those super outdated websites, if they are getting any traffic to their website, which it probably isn't much, I think over time that's going to become less and less, right? Because websites in general are becoming a little bit more accessible because of AI. There's platforms where you can just, spend, $20 and get a pretty decent website
Sure.
put together fairly easily. And that, works for some people.
Yeah.
But more than likely, it's not going to be as optimized.
Your gold mine.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Or as conversion focused or whatever.
Absolutely.
But if, there's studios that are out there that really haven't looked at their website in a long time, it's really a missing piece to the puzzle for them. Because we see it day in and day out. We support
Absolutely.
800 plus locations. And we see how many leads are being generated, right? So if a school or a studio has a really high performing website, it ends up becoming their number one source for new students. So it's a pivotal time, definitely a time for everyone to kind of look at what's going on with their website right now. Again, if you have that basic website, it's time to move into
upgrade.
2025. And if there's those that are trying to do too much with their website, go back to the basics that we know work really well. And then just do a couple tweaks so that way it's optimized for AEO.
Absolutely. Now, a question I get asked from both clients and prospective clients alike is, call to actions and offers. And now with the rise of AI, it's kind of reshaping user expectations on how they're navigating websites. So how do you feel that that's influencing what types of calls to actions or offers really convert best today?
Yeah, that's interesting. Honestly, I don't know if AI is adjusting the calls to action too much. The ones that we always see work the best still is access our schedule and pricing in exchange for name, email, phone number. And, of course, there's different options to put out 2 weeks for $29, 2 weeks for $49, whatever the offer might be. But we try to go as low barrier as possible so that we're able to collect their information and then get them into hopefully some sort of workflow system that is powered by AI that can then do the reach out for the studio owner and, kind of handle those conversations and things like that. So I don't see AI kind of adjusting what the main calls to action should be. It's really the follow-up afterwards that it's playing a big part in. Yeah.
No, I think that's so true. And I know with AI chatbots and some people using AI for, quick response, I think everyone today it's like Amazon. We want everything really quick. And so I think that the follow-up is so important when you're getting those leads, making sure you're capitalizing them on such a timely manner. So
Yeah. And, obviously with our recent introduction of our CRM, there's been a lot of AI related tools that we've been building and experimenting with. Big one recently has been the ability to take transcripts from phone calls. So for people that are using our system, they can receive phone calls as well as do outbound phone calls. It records them. It also provides transcripts, and then it uses AI to create a summary as well as key action steps based off of that phone call, which is really handy. And another cool thing is if somebody calls and the studio owner isn't there to actually pick up, the system will send a text message automatically to the person who just had their call missed. And it can say whatever they want. It could say, sorry, we missed your call. How can we help you? But this is just ways that you can rely on systems and AI to kind of engage with people where before it really wasn't able to do that. So it's pretty cool.
That's really cool. And it definitely helps kind of get things rolling really quickly.
Yes. So. Yeah. That's definitely key when it comes to follow-up is how quick you can respond.
Absolutely. Now, kind of looking ahead to the future, let's say next 1, 2, 3 years, what major changes do you predict AI will bring to local marketing and website strategy?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. I think AI makes things a lot more accessible, right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is your competition, maybe you have invested in a great website, but if your competition who might have an old website now learns about an AI platform that's able to create them a pretty decent website, that's something to be aware of, right? That's something that could be a potential threat to your business because before you're investing all this time and money into, having a great website. Now AI comes along and it can do this pretty quickly. And it's like, okay, well, maybe it's time that I really focus on the website, ensure it has, all those elements, all those, the SEO, the AEO, so that way you're staying ahead of somebody who comes along and is trying to use these new tools. So I definitely see that being a big factor. Same thing with pay-per-click marketing. And it's not our specialty, but it's something that we do for ourselves pretty often.
Yeah.
There's platforms that are coming out that are using AI to optimize your ads. So it can look at results, it can look at the way that people are engaging with your ads, and then make tweaks automatically for you, which is pretty neat. But again, because these tools are so accessible by everyone, it just levels up the playing field so much where you have to be ahead. You have to stay ahead, or else other people are going to pass you by. All right.
Absolutely.
There's so much opportunity with AI. I know you and I were playing around with some different tools yesterday, and my mind was blown by the Notebook LM by Google. So cool. But there's so many different things that are out there. I know with the development of our CRM, we rely on AI for portions of our coding. And it allows us to move so much quicker than we were able to just a couple of years ago. So things are changing. The big thing is having a mindset of always learning, always wanting to push your studio forward when it comes to technology, and then relying on the people who are out there, the companies that are out there like us that can kind of help studio owners that might not be as technically versed to kind of make sure that they're staying ahead of the game.
No, absolutely. And I think you bring up such a good point because marketing is evolving. It's changing, just like tech. You think about AI coming in, it's kind of taking the world by storm, and everyone starts to worry, oh my gosh, I'm trying to keep up as a small business owner wearing all those hats. So I think, it's important to really kind of diversify and consider all those options. But in that same vein, if a studio owner could do, let's say, one thing right now to prepare their website for the next era of digital search, what would you tell them to prioritize?
That's kind of a tough question because it's like contingent on where they're at the moment, right?
That's fair.
So if you have a very old website that's not mobile friendly, that's from, the dinosaur age, let's focus on getting a website that handles the basics, that is mobile friendly, that features your photos, that has a good design, that loads quickly. That would be like step one.
Checks all the boxes. Okay.
Yeah. For someone out there that, they've got a pretty good website, but maybe it's not super optimized for conversions, that would be the thing that I would focus on. So, ensuring that you have a really strong call to action, that you have opt-in forms on your website, and that you're not asking for too much in advance. I think that's a big mistake that I see a lot of studios do is they don't want to deal with tire kickers. So they make the call to action on their website something that is very, requires a lot of commitment, right? So it's something where it's like, opt in and, claim your 4-week for $49 special or something like that. That person might not be ready to take that step. So then they're never going to opt in and you're never going to collect their information, right? But now with AI, you can rely on it to do a lot of your follow-up for you. So you're not spending as much time dealing with those tire kickers, but the tire kickers, or like the people that are just requesting information, a lot of times are the ones that end up converting into students if you're able to nurture them properly.
Absolutely.
Yep. So just making sure you have a really solid call to action. And the one that we recommend is view our pricing and schedule, and then have them enter in their name, email, phone number to get access to that information. And then for the ones that are a little bit more advanced, they've got a great website, great call to action. Start thinking about some of the things that we mentioned before. So make sure you have that ongoing blogs going. Make sure they're optimized for AEO specifically. Rely on ChatGPT to kind of help you with that. Look at your actual program page content, your homepage content. See what you can do to maybe AEO optimize it as well. Using some of the things that we talked about with
find those FAQs and
exactly. So it just kind of depends on like which stage they're at the time, but hopefully that covers everybody.
No, that's awesome. Well, Stephen, I know we're getting really close to time here, but my last question for you before you wrap up is, I know I've peppered you with quite a few AI-based questions, but is there any last-minute knowledge you wanted to impart to our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, I know I mentioned this before, but being a constant learner is so important, right? Like being out there and wanting to gain more knowledge about what's happening is really is such an important piece of growing a successful business,
Absolutely.
right? And it's the reason why here at Market Muscles, we invest in coaches and going to seminars and things
Yeah.
like that. And it's the reason why a lot of studio owners do that as well. But right now is such a pivotal moment with
Yeah.
where we are, with the way that technology is moving, that if you don't take the time to learn what's happening, you will be left behind, right? And again, this is different than anything over the past 10 years. This whole thing with AI kind of being introduced into businesses, it's eliminating a lot of jobs, unfortunately, right? It's helping a lot of business owners move faster. Ones that may not be as capable are able to now be more capable because they can rely on these different AI engines to help them write and create content and make images and all these things. So it's just my challenge really for everyone is just to be a learner, to constantly push themselves to know what's out there and to take advantage of everything that they can do to help grow their business.
Absolutely. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for sharing all of your vast knowledge and how AI is taking the industry by storm. For those listening, if you took a lot of great notes and are super energized and want to take that next step, by all means, take all of this knowledge Stephen has imparted and implement it in your own sites. But if you're in the camp of this sounds way too complicated, or my site's back in the dinosaur age and this sounds like a giant step, here at Market Muscles, we really try to make that step a little bit more feasible and walk alongside with you. So if you are interested, feel free to schedule a demo with me. Down at the bottom of the screen, we will have a button where you can set something up and we can kind of chat through how we can kind of help bring your website to new heights. But thank you all so much for listening to our episode today, and best of luck as we move into the new year.
Thanks for joining us on today's episode of Beyond the Mats and Mirrors. If you found value in the conversation, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Are you ready to see how Market Muscles can help your school or studio grow? Head over to marketmuscles.com and book a demo today. And until next time, keep inspiring and keep growing.